Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ask the Accountant, episode number 95, coming to you on the 19th of August, 2024. My name's Johann, and I am, as always, joined by my co-host, Mr. Aaron Patrick. Aaron, you're not in the office. Where are you?
I'm in Guildford today. So, yeah, had a very exciting weekend of live music. So, yeah.
Tell us more.
Well, I started off the weekend going to see someone called Taylor Swift. You might have heard of her. She's pretty up there in the famous department. In fact, I was reading she has now been the first person ever to surpass $1 billion worth of revenue on a tour. So, and I'm not surprised, to be honest. There was 93,000 of us in this Wembley Stadium. So yeah, it was a very good show. Personally, my highlight was Fat Paramore was there, so I went to see the. It was weird that Paramore played, and then the support act in my eyes came on afterwards. But no, she was very good, very good. And went to see a little band called the Lottery Winners last night in a very different circumstance. So I had 93,000 for Taylor Swift and 100 odd for the Lottery Winners. So
Cues for the toilet were a little less, were they?
Yeah, a little bit less. Although saying that, I was absolutely baking for the Lottery Winners. So I think it was more memorable for the fact that I couldn't breathe in some circumstances. It was that warm in there. So yeah, good fan. I know I'm not a Swiftie.
Tim and Kirsty have just gone Mr. Swiftie, and we heard Aaron was a Swiftie fan. I heard he's a Swiftie fan.
I do like her songs, and there are a couple that I absolutely think are brilliant. But yeah, I won't class myself as a Swiftie. I went more as babysitting duties more than anything else. So, but it was good fun. It was it's always good to see Wembley and go down to London and all that sort of stuff. So can't complain.
Fantastic. Right, let's say good morning to our usual suspects, everybody joining us as they normally do each week. So good morning to Cheryl, good morning to Natasha, good morning to Kirsty, and good morning to Dave. Good to see you all here as usual. Well, whilst you've been having a busy weekend with all your celebrity friends, the world of accounting news has been a bit empty.
Yeah.
There was this huge event in Nashville, right? 5 days ago. I've yet to see one article come out telling us what they announced. Have you seen anything?
Especially when we were told that they, holding back some big announcements from XeroCon London, obviously everyone was blown away by what was already announced. What was it? That Jax was rubbish and all the other things that happened. But in fairness to them, it was supposed to be that they were going to release these big updates in Nashville that are going to change the accounting industry. So if it's taken this long, what updates do you think got announced?
I don't know. I mean, Sue, you're in the comments. Good morning to Sue. Good morning to Joe DeLee as well. But Sue, what have you heard? You're the Queen of Zero. What have you heard from Nashville? Is there any announcements? Is there not? I mean, is there an embargo on the press? I don't understand how a 2-day event can happen in the US and we've seen no articles in the UK about, because everyone knows like whatever comes to Nashville or to the US would probably be coming out to the UK fairly soon. But yeah, it's a bit weird.
Could it possibly be a new font? Could they release another?
Is there any more Google fonts that they don't have?
I mean, it could be. There's a potential. There's a brand new font that they've just released. Game-changing stuff here.
Sue says, "Not that I know of."
Oh.
So yeah. Oh well, that was a quick and easy article and headline to go through. Aaron, we're going to have to come up with something else now.
But it was a proper event they wanted. It was multi-day. It was
2-day event in Nashville. Loads of people from the UK seem to be going over for it. But the only content I've seen on anyone's profile, like LinkedIn or anything like that, is party related.
Yeah. which is fair play. Like that is what they're known for, right? Like that's what Zero always push
It's
for.
a long way to go for a party. I mean, call me a miserable old man, but it's a long way to go for a party.
Yeah, but it's a Zero party, so apparently it's worth every second of that trip. Apparently,
yeah. So I mean, we were hoping that we'd be sat here for a good 45 minutes talking about the latest updates from Zero and whether we were envious or not. But 6 minutes in, that's us done.
I don't know. We've got an update on the party from Sue.
Oh, I love Zero, but I don't know how the National ZeroCon looked better than the ZeroCon London, even the party. So yeah,
Shots fired there, Sue. Shots fired.
I mean, yeah. Right. Well, what else are we going to talk about then? If we're not talking about that, I've been playing with Apple Intelligence.
Okay, talk to us.
It's not quite there yet, but the bit that is there is their answer to Grammarly, shall we say? So the proofreading, the rewriting, etc. I have to say, I'm really impressed. Like, really impressed, because it almost comes up across as natural. So, like, some of the stuff I've typed out, like a LinkedIn post, told it to reformat it, and then I've sent that post to Ash saying, "Can you tell who wrote this?" Because I don't want it to be too obvious that it's AI.
Yeah.
And Ash at Engages had a real challenge going, normally it's really easy to spot an AI written post. And he's like, I don't. And it's literally things like, I don't think you use that type of punctuation mark, Johann. You wouldn't have put a comma there. It's little things like that have got them Ash going, I don't think it's you, but it's very close to you. So it is learning. It's very interesting. The only minor downside to the spell check on it is, so that I could use it, I had to tell my phone I live in America.
So it's all Americanized. Yeah.
So it's a very Americanized, like Z's instead of S's and categorized and stuff like that. But apart from that minor little detail, I've been really impressed with it so far.
But Grammarly is not much better for that, though, is it? Even though you tell it you're British, even though you want GP, English GP as your, constantly I'm having to change it back. Like, I don't know what's wrong with Grammarly, but it never seems to save that preference. And I'm constantly having to do it back. So yeah, if that's the minor gripe, then
yeah, exactly. So I mean, it saved me 20 quid a month. It's Sherlocked Grammarly for me. So that saves me 20 quid a month in a subscription. So I'm happy.
And it works literally anywhere, like any app,
anywhere that I'm typing.
Okay, interesting.
As long as I'm using the Apple keyboard.
Yeah. Because that's the one thing about Grammarly, isn't it? Like, it's Chrome extension. Was it? I think at one point there was like a Microsoft Word extension, but I think they pulled that. So I think Grammarly, realistically, you have to copy and paste back and forth, don't you? To get the full experience, don't you?
And if you're using it on your phone or your tablet and using their keyboard, that it's okay. I tend to find I had more typing inaccuracy because of it. Their buttons are slightly off. But also, when you're using the Grammarly keyboard, little luxuries in life that I highly value, shall we say, aren't there. So when you get a text message with an authentication code in on your Apple device, if you're using the normal keyboard, it pulls that number through and you can just click it. On the Grammarly keyboard, it doesn't. So it's little daily lifestyle benefits that you miss out on by using the Grammarly keyboard or another keyboard on your phone. But that's been okay. I've now replaced and saving myself 20 quid a month. That's good.
Well, we don't know how much Apple Intelligence is going to cost yet, do we? Because Google Gemini, they announced that you get it free for a year, but they didn't say what the price point after that's going to be. I can imagine in September when Apple announces their latest and greatest that you get free for a year, possibly in the new phones, and then possibly connected to Apple One, their subscription service they already have.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I've got one of those rolling deals with O2 where I can upgrade anytime as long as it's been more than 90 days. So I upgrade every year to a new contract anyway. So that wouldn't be an issue for me if it was only free for a year, because my intention would be to upgrade my phone every year. But for those that stick onto their phone for 2 or 3 years, that would be a challenge.
And how do you think it's going to work multi-devices though? So yeah, you might be all right for your phone. What about your
with Apple? I don't think that'll be a challenge, because if you think like,
do you think you'll get Apple Intelligence free as long as you've had a new device?
Yeah. So like I can watch Apple TV for 3 months on any Apple device I've got because I brought a tablet or a phone in the last year. I think it will be linked to your Apple account, like the Apple Health is, the Apple TV, the Apple News, music. It's all linked, isn't it? And you can, once you've brought it or you're getting it free for your account because of one device, you get it across all your devices. So I don't think that'll be an issue.
I'd best get Apple Intelligence free for life for buying the Vision Pro. You've got to give me something for that,
right? Yeah, you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
You think so, wouldn't you?
But yeah, so yeah, no, that's been good. Some of the messages I've sent you are just completely AI written on Apple Message. It only works on Apple Messages. It doesn't work in WhatsApp or anything.
I was thinking to myself, he's gone very intelligent all of a sudden.
Yes.
These coherent messages that are going through.
It's very clever. And like, when it suggests a word or a couple of words, that, it doesn't class that as AI, so that stays white. But as soon as it's come up with a sentence for you, it starts flashing it in the multicolors of Siri now, so that you this is an AI written post to send. So that's been very good. I'd just like it to roll out and be based on the keyboard again. So I'd like it to start reading WhatsApp messages and stuff like that. That would be good.
So can it do my favorite feature, the one I use more than probably I should do, is I'll draft out a social post or something I want to put on social, and then I'll highlight it and I'll go, please add emojis and hashtags. Can it do that?
I don't think it can do that bit yet, but it can certainly proofread it and go, and I can go more professional, more friendly. More concise. And so there was only 3 options a few weeks ago. There's now 6 options there. So yeah, and they're adding to it every couple of weeks at the moment. So I'm expecting another update tonight. The other one I've started to use a bit. It's not been great, but I think that's more because of the length of the emails I receive isn't that long. Although I get a lot of emails, a lot of them seem, from my clients especially, are like 1 or 2 lines. It's as if they've texted me that or WhatsApp me that question or something rather than emailing. So the summary tool's not been overly powerful, but it's quite good for, like, if you've got a chain of emails, it's like, oh god, I've not looked at this in ages. Right, what was this about? And it summarizes it quite nicely. So that's good as well. So yeah, no, Apple Intelligence, it's impressive so far.
And it works on any email you receive, right? Whereas the problem we have with Copilot, especially Microsoft Copilot, that is for anyone listening, is that it'll only work if it comes to that account that Microsoft Copilot has been paid for, right? And I found that really limiting, because I don't know about you, but I've got 12 email accounts on my phone at any one point. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's why I don't bother with using Outlook anymore, because Outlook, yes, it's great to have Copilot on one, but then that Copilot won't do anything with any of the other email accounts. So for example, I've got an Engager email that's based with Outlook, but my on-point accounting Copilot license won't talk to it. It won't look at it. Whereas Apple Intelligence deals with all of it. Because I think I don't know if Gemini has overcome this, but there was an issue at least a year ago where Gemini or Google AI, whatever it was called at the time, could only read and see emails that were personal accounts, not work-based accounts. So yeah, that was really fiddly. Whereas Apple's just kind of gone, no, if any email account that comes into mail, dealt with.
Yeah. I think that's still the same restriction, because I got an email the other day saying to access Gemini on my Google Work account, Google Workspace, I think they call it. I think that's what their phrase is.
The latest iteration of
Yeah,
it.
it was a paid for upgrade again. So I think that's what it is. It's behind a paywall, right? So just like Microsoft Copilot, I would have to pay for each individual person who wants to have access to Gemini for them to have use of it. So
And
frustrating.
that's a limiting factor, isn't it? I mean, the bit that I've loved, like the reason I've used Apple Intelligence so much in the last few weeks is because it's baked into the device I'm using.
Yeah.
It's not it's not an add-on. It's not I've got to use a different keyboard for this. I've got to go into a different app to ask this question. Like, it's there, and so it's far better for it. But yeah, so that's my update on Apple Intelligence so far. Seeing as Zero didn't give us any updates, I thought I'd give you that update. But yeah, let's just quickly check the comments. So Tim Chilston, the AI functions in Superhuman are cross-account and pretty decent too. And it makes life so much easier, doesn't it, once it's in there? But yeah, like the only way we're going to adopt AI and embrace it is to have it baked into what we're using. It can't be a separate app, because that requires us to change our behaviors, change our habits, and that becomes a challenge. So it needs to be baked into what we're using. Like, I refuse to use Outlook or Gmail or anything on my Apple phone because it just doesn't work as nicely as Mail does with Apple devices, where Apple recognizes an email authentication with an authentication code in, pulls the code in for you at a click, and deletes the email for you at a click. And it's like, it's just simple little lifestyle hacks like that make life so much better for me. But yeah, so that's my update on Apple Intelligence. Now, where do we start? Let's talk about pricing of softwares, okay? Because we've got two stories on this, haven't we, Aaron? So first of all, the backlash that Zero got for their pricing increases and changing of things seems to have paid dividends for the users of Zero. So sometimes people do listen. So Zero have now changed or delayed, shall we say, the rollout of their new pricing structure. So if your client or your business is going to pay equal to or less money for the features they currently have at this change of pricing models, that's now going to be delayed until February 2025. So basically what we're saying here is Zero is going to keep creaming extra money off you if you are going to save money in February for another 5 months, then let you save the money. But anyone whose prices are going to go up to maintain the same functionality as they currently have, that won't come into place until September 25.
Which I think is the main criticism, wasn't it? Because at the end of the day, the prices have got to go up. That's going to happen on every piece of software out there, right? Like, at some point there'll be a price increase. You hope it's reasonably within inflation, and everyone just accepts it, right? And you just move on. Yeah. It was them removing features and messing around with the naming structures, and
it was the changing of the brackets, wasn't it? Like,
exactly.
But that's good. Like, they've obviously listened to the feedback. I mean, Christ, how much negative feedback have they had to me for them to actually go, okay, fair enough, we need to make a change here? Because they don't normally jump. Like, these big software companies in general don't normally jump at a few people moaning on social media. Like, they must have had quite the backlash on it.
Because in fairness to them, they have the most versatile of billing, don't they? Because it is very much do you want expenses, for example? Well, you can add it on. Do you want CIS? Well, you can add it on. And for a lot of people, that's actually really useful, right? Because if they don't need that functionality, why pay a couple of extra quid in their subscription each month for something they'll never use? So they get the choice: do this switch on, do this switch off. So, their actual
the other side of that sword is, you pay for everything with Zero. So it's a double-sided sword, that one, isn't it? Of yes, you've got complete customization of functionality as to whether you do or don't have something on, but then everyone goes, oh, can't even get CIS without having to pay for it.
True. Yeah. But I mean, it just makes it more complicated, though, doesn't it? Like that, and I assume that's what the new pricing structure was designed to do, was trying to simplify it. But in my mind, and maybe I'm biased here, and maybe it's recency bias and all that lot, but I felt like the new structure was even more complicated, and I was having to almost get a spreadsheet out to go, right, how is this going to affect my handful of clients that I have on Zero? What's going to actually happen going forward? And if that's me trying to figure out for a handful of clients, imagine your whole client base was on there. That was going to be a nightmare for you, wasn't it?
It's just having to communicate. Like, no, accountants and bookkeepers don't like communicating price changes to their clients at the best of times. So to have to do this, in some cases, we're going to be significant. Like, we had a big review, and it's like, Christ, some of these clients are going to jump quite badly. But I mean, technically, now we need to go back to those clients and say, that discussion we had, because we were proactive and we got on with it. We now need to say, actually, it's not relevant until next September now.
Which gives them a chance, doesn't it? I mean, I suppose for most of them, they'll just suck it up, won't they? And they'll just accept it and they'll move on. But there are going to be some people out there who will now use that September opportunity to go, right, well, do I need to have that functionality? Can I get the same functionality from software X, Y, or Z, or whatever they're potentially going to move to? So it gives them options at least, doesn't it?
You'd have thought they'd have learned from the Tories and their backtracking and U-turns, but never mind. People don't like U-turns. Just get the decision right the first time, people.
How's that going to affect next year's price increase now? September 2025's price increase, right? Because surely they've now backed themselves into a corner where...
Well, they can't put one in because they've already committed to it.
Exactly.
In advance, so... Yeah.
Interesting.
It's going to be detrimental to the financials, isn't it? So, speaking of being detrimental to your financials, I hear HubSpot have put a bit of a dent in yours. So, do you want to tell? Right, first of all, for those that aren't using HubSpot, Aaron, why do you use HubSpot and Client Engager, you weirdo? So what's different with HubSpot? What do you use it for, and what's happened?
Yeah, so for us, HubSpot is our main CRM tool in terms of client communication. We have this real big thing at Bofix where we love the fact that Client Engager gives us all of our compliance work, and it gives us a brilliant list of what compliance work we need to tick off so that we can make sure that we can give all that information to our client and get their tax returns and VAT returns, everything else done. And that's all in its own little bubble. And we love that that's separate. But for all our what we call firefighting, for our communication with clients, so any touch point they have with us, from a Facebook message to a telephone call to a email in, we use HubSpot. And what we love about HubSpot is the fact that it turns it into a ticket. And the best thing you can do with when it's a ticket is you can't accidentally read or close it or delete a ticket. The only thing you can do is literally set the status to closed. So when it comes to kind of task management of client emails, task management of clients sending information in, task management of all that sort of stuff, HubSpot or any ticketing system out there is brilliant for that. You convert that email, telephone call, whatever client touch point it is, into a ticket, and then you can manage it by passing it around to people and giving the opportunities for them to put notes on it and all that sort of stuff. And it, from a CRM tool, amazing, like really changed the way that we dealt with it. Gives us an opportunity. We get loads of really good insights as to how long it takes us to reply to emails on average, and we can look at it individual agents as well and see, you know, who's had the most and what capacity they might have. And there's all that brilliant insight that really, really helps us kind of grow and helps us make those next decisions of when to hire and everything else. So highly recommend it. Instead of just, I mean, Client Engager's got a great way of dealing with emails as well. So that's another option for you. But if you're just sat there on Outlook or Gmail or something like that, I do challenge people to think about another way of dealing with emails, right? Because the worst thing you can ever do is look at email, mark it as read, and then never go back to that email again and just upset the client, right? Like that's worst case scenario. When it's a ticketing system, you can't do that. And then you get all that rich bit of information in there. And for a long time, I've been pushing HubSpot as a great solution. There was, before the changes, a nice free version as well, which would have done for 90% of the people listening on here. They would have been more than happy with that free one. And then we pay, I think it's like 40 odd quid to have like just a few extra features here and there. Their biggest problem though is their price jump above that goes to almost $1,000 for us. So it goes from £40 to $1,000 a month. And I was like, not worth us paying for that premium version of HubSpot, right? And that we've been using that for 5+ years happily. Everyone's happy, been really good. And then it turns out, and it's completely on me for missing it, but they've changed the pricing structure. So instead of that £42 I've been paying, it's now going to be based on seats, so it's on users, and it's going to go up from £42 to 250 odd, probably a bit more if we have to kind of look at certain. It's not just your users, but also what email accounts you've had on there. So yeah, suddenly we've gone from this amazing piece of software that we absolutely love and can't like recommend enough to actually maybe it's not going to be right for us going forward. I mean, we definitely would get the value out of it. That's not the issue. I think it's just that taste in the mouth of, well, it was working perfectly for us and we were, promoting it and pushing it and we were loving it. And we didn't need the £1,000 solution that obviously that's what they're trying to get companies on. But for the small businesses, they've kind of just pulled the rug out of the hand and made it so it's not really accessible for people. I mean, I suppose if you've got a small team, maybe it's still right for you. You'll probably be able to get it for about 40 quid a month. But personally, I don't know if that's enough of a value add going forward. So yeah, small businesses and not really in the best shape for people like HubSpot and stuff these days, are they?
No, I mean, what are the competitors from that? So, I mean, I've looked at Close CRM. It felt a bit dated, bit old school in the UI, and very phone call focused, which wasn't right for us because we're primarily email. I've looked at Pipedrive, and that's good, but it's very sales orientated. It's not ticket support.
Yeah, and we don't need it for the sales side. I mean, HubSpot has a load of sales elements, marketing elements. They've got a whole raft of stuff we weren't really using. It is just like you said, it's that support element, isn't it? It's and you've seen how powerful it is having a good support system of Engager, right? In terms of get that rich bit of information of how long did it take to reply to someone's problem. Like that is a huge one, and you've even made it as like a badge of honor for you guys, right? And you'll be very transparent if you've hit targets or if you've missed targets, right? And we try and do the same with our internal team as well. It's like, right, every week we have what's called a WIP, a work in progress meeting, and one of those bits we'll talk about is, right, last week did we hit our targets? Like, were we replying quick enough to our clients? Were we on the ball with them? Is people got too many tickets open that's going to be capacity in it? And having that transparency really helps. So I highly recommend a ticketing system, but HubSpot is, it's not designed for small businesses anymore, is it, at that sort of price point?
No. Who else is there? So we at Client Engager, we use Zendesk for our support system.
Yeah, we've used Zendesk before. Yeah,
but again, it's not cheap for an accounting firm to use. Like, I mean, that would cost me thousands in my accounting firm because it's silly money per user per month.
Exactly. But Freshdesk as well. That's one, isn't it? That's one we've used in the past.
Yeah, Front is a good one.
Because
as
this
well.
is how, and I've spoke about this before, how I've set up the whole idea where I give my clients a bills@boffix email address. So I
Mhm.
don't give them their Dex or auto entry or Apron equivalent email. It goes to bills@boffix, and what manages the bills@boffix area is a ticketing system. And the great thing is you could then put forwarding rules, right? So if
Yeah.
client A sends it in, I send it to wherever I want. I'm in control of that, right? So Dext or QuickBooks or whatever receipt capture solution I want to use. Or I could choose it so that the team will manually try and do it. And when they do it manually, it's great being ticketing because, again, we can look at how many tickets they consumed in a month and how long it took on average to do it. And you get all of that richness of data that's so important to kind of look at capacity and thinking about the next steps and everything else. So, yeah, ticketing system is really important. But I think you're right. I don't think there is anyone out there that can really.
No, because my biggest issue. So front was a really good option. We really enjoyed that at Client Engager, but we outgrew it quite quickly. But my biggest annoyance with it was it doesn't. So if I archive something in front, it doesn't copy that into Outlook. So you end up doing the job twice. Now Zendesk doesn't do it either, but yeah, Zendesk's got enough power for us to be able to go, yeah, that's fine. It's got live chat in it. It's got the help center in it and stuff. It's a minor inconvenience to have to go through and archive all the emails in the outbox, in the Outlook at the end of the day.
The way around that for us is that we just put a forwarding rule on Outlook, and it goes straight into a separate folder. So it says processed by HubSpot as one of the subfolders. And then the great thing about that as well is you'll capture anything that didn't make it to your thing. Because if there was ever anything that, for whatever reason got bounced back or something, sits there in the inbox then, and you can go, oh, okay. Client ABC sent this in, and for some reason it never made it, and we'd have to manually then upload it.
Zendesk filtering out automatic responses, out of office replies. So like we sent out an email to all of our users a couple of weeks back, and on a Friday. So Fridays are never a good day to send emails. That was the first mistake. The second one was it was early August. Everyone was on holiday. So like, thankfully, because Zendesk doesn't pull through automatic replies, the support desk wasn't impacted. But when I looked at the Outlook box, there was like 200-300 automatic responses sat there from that one email that went out. It's like, oh dear. Whereas if that all went through to the support desk, Christ, we'd have been there for hours trying to filter through it all and work out, right, which ones do we need to respond to, which ones aren't we responding to, etc. But yeah, no, like ticketing systems are really important.
They are, and what I love as well is that a client will come in, maybe a complaint or something, or they're not happy or they're a bit frustrated. Well, it's so easy for me to just click into that client. I can see every bit of insight we've had with them and get to the problem of it straight away. And if I need to eat humble pie because we've dropped the ball, I can do that because I've got the proof. But if they've misunderstood something, or that there's something else, I've got the proof there. So it's going to be a massive issue if we're going to have to move, because there's no way I don't think I'm going to sit there and spend that sort of money on that side of things. I think that that money could be put into way more useful resources, right? So
definitely,
just a shame, isn't it? But that's the way with a couple of bumbles.
It's a huge history change for you. Like, there's so much history and data in HubSpot for you guys. Relationships for years. That it's going to be a real headache for you. The
automation was brilliant as well. Just that for us, it was that idea that we would, every time a client replied, it would go straight to the top of our task list. It's little things like that that just made it work for us. So it's gonna be a tricky one, but we've got to move, and got to move soon by the sounds of it.
Yeah, unless you want to lose a load of money. Wonderful. Importance of checking your emails, ironically, for HubSpot emails, telling you price increases, right?
Yeah, I know. It's completely on me. Like, it's me. I just the email came in and I was just like, oh, I don't need to read that. That's just HubSpot. What are they going to tell me now? Actually, they're going to tell me something really important.
Exactly. Cool. So Kirsty says, I try and leave my emails as unread until I have dealt with it with the use of color-coded stars, exclamation marks, etc. in Gmail, but that means I'll never be inbox zero. That, I mean, I'd have a mental breakdown. Like I can't handle the notification circles. Like there's some apps where I just turn them off completely because the notifications it's giving me, like Amazon, like the notifications are giving me are completely irrelevant. Like it doesn't really matter. So I don't need that notification. But like emails and stuff, oh no, I cannot. It leaves me twitching. So like I'll go through and read emails in the inbox for Engager over like the weekend, and I know if Andy's been in because all of a sudden they're marked as unread again because he leaves them marked as unread. And it's like, no, I'll action them now. I'll archive them now because I cannot be dealing with the number 2 against this. Like that's just like, no, it's triggering for me. So I can't handle it. But yeah. But if it works for you,
well, I'm in the same boat, but I would say the danger of that case, and I'm sure you've done it and that you've disciplined yourself not to do it again, but it's just that whole idea of marking something as read when it's actually not been done right. It's so easy just to
that's where it gets a flag
over it. Yeah, true. But you hover over it, right? And then it marks it as read, and you're like, I didn't actually want to read that. Or you know what I mean? There's those little situations, and I'm just so paranoid of those sort of things. That's why for me a ticket is final, right? It's either open, or it's one of the other. We have statuses of tasks required, or urgent, or accounts to be completed, or stuff like that. Or our review process goes through as well. So for review and review complete, or review update needed, or stuff like that. So we have all those statuses that makes it really easy to understand where that ticket is. Whereas in the email is either read, unread, or in in Kirsty's situation, there's some color coded elements and stuff, which is great. But it's about making that work on a team basis. I think that's where maybe it falls down a little bit. If you're just the person dealing with it, you're fine. But even you were saying then about people reading emails when they're not read. We have the same issue with producer Lizzie, right? Because we have a shared email box for Ask the Accountant, and every so often she'll mark something as read. I'm like, no. And then she'll even go as far as putting a flag on it so it goes to the top of my list. I'm like, no.
So I use mail on my phone just to keep an eye on things, and if it's a quick response, I do a quick response, and then I archive it. Then whatever's left, whether it's read or unread, it will all be read because I can't handle the notifications. But anything that's left in that inbox and it's not been archived, it means it needs actioning. And that's where I go to Client Engager and I create tickets out of every single one. Once the ticket's created, then I archive. Because, I want to get down to inbox zero. Can't be doing with it. So, Paul says, under 5 staff, I think. Sorry, go on.
As it, ironically, I did a video, I think it went out either today or this Thursday or next Thursday on Inbox Zero for Bofix and how HubSpot's changed the game for us and Client Engager's changed the game for us. And what timing was that?
Yep. You have to go back. Editor Aaron here.
Yeah, exactly.
Paul says, is there anything for under 5 staff? I just use Outlook and Engager and the functions of Office 365. Look, it's really down to what you need. Like, if you're just after the ticketing part, then Engager does it absolutely fine because you create tasks out of each email.
Yeah.
The beauty of HubSpot, which you rely on so heavily, Aaron, is the analytical part, isn't it? It's the we've responded in this amount of time, that side of stuff, which Front, Freshdesk, Zendesk support, like they all do it, but it's pretty specialist. Like Carbon does it as a practice management tool, but that's because they're very focused around emails and ticketing as their primary core part of their practice management tool. So it might be worth looking at Front because it's not expensive at all, Paul. It's like 15 quid per email account or something per month. I think it was anyway. It's been a while since I've looked at it. But there are options out there. But I would say as soon as you get past one team member, once you start dabbling with other team members, you're going to need that visibility and not to be hidden in their inbox. So yeah, a ticketing system at that point is really important.
Yeah, it works. It's kind of, and we unfortunately we've had an issue with a team member this past week, but it was the ticketing system that highlighted it to us, right? Like it's that bit that without it, where you don't have that full visibility. So yeah. I mean, there's got to be some out there. That's my job now, to find a new one, and yeah, just like that's my holiday task, is find a new HubSpot.
There you go. Do that by the pool in Las Vegas.
Exactly.
Oh, cool. Right. Well, as always, this episode is brought to you and sponsored by Apron. So we will roll their little ad roll. Apron is a fantastic tool. Aaron and I use it day in, day out in our own businesses. And clients just love the ability to enter receipts however they seem fit. Like a load of my clients are now using the WhatsApp feature. Some are still using the app. Some are emailing in. And it's not just for those smaller clients. Like I've got a client that's a few £1 million a year turnover, like construction-based business with hundreds of documents a week, never mind a month, all going through Apron with absolutely no problems whatsoever. So yeah, great tool and very scalable.
Yep, that's what they are.
I'm here with my friends over at Apron, our new sponsor, and we've got an amazing feature that just went live. It's called Capture, and this is going to revolutionize the way you get data from your client. Watch this. Get the receipt, take the photo, bish, bash, done. That's it. This is going to be dead quick, dead straightforward, dead simple, and more importantly, it's easy for your clients to use. Did I tell you got WhatsApp as well? What more do you want?
There we go. Absolutely brilliant tool. And yeah, constantly listening to feedback and taking it on board and actioning it, which we all love from our software vendors, don't we not? Right. So do you know what mile marker we passed this weekend, Aaron?
Go for it.
We're now less than a month away from Accountex Manchester or Accountex North. Yes. Literally on Saturday, we passed the 1 month mark. So we thought it'd be good to have a quick chat about Accountex Manchester, or Accountex North as it's called, but it's in Manchester. So I always refer to it as Accountex Manchester. And why you should go. I mean, it's a day out. First of all, it's a good day out. Secondly, it's a day out which, if the size of Accountex London puts you off, with overwhelmed, the amount of stages, the amount of speakers and stuff, Accountex Manchester is a different beast. It's absolutely incredible. They've only got 4 stages, so it's a lot easier to see everything. All your exhibitors are on more similarly sized stands, so there's no half the area taken up by 1 or 2 software vendors. But basically, you take that amazing content from Accountex London, distill it, and put it into Accountex Manchester. And we will be there, won't we, Aaron? We will be podcast pit stopping as per usual. Thanks to Caroline from Accountex for helping us out with that. So we will be there all day. It's a 1-day event. So yeah, absolutely fantastic venue, and always really well organized as well, isn't it? So yeah, we will be there doing our podcast pit stops. Client Engager will be there doing their first ever exhibition, which will be exciting. So yeah, I mean, what are your top reasons to go to Accountex Manchester versus London or any of the other shows?
So for me, I mean, Accountex Manchester will always have a special place in our heart because that was our first ever live podcasting opportunity, right? I can't believe it was a year ago that it all happened. We released our top trumps for the event as well. So we've got some special top trumps coming as well. So keep your eyes peeled.
Keep the collection growing.
The collection is growing, yeah. For anyone out there who's trying to collect all of them, I've just made your life harder, so apologies for that. And there's another special gold edition one out there as well. Ooh, maybe celebrating someone's first ever conference, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? But there is definitely, for us, that, you know, Countex Manchester is or North is just a special place. And what I love about it, and it's very similar to Fab as well, is that Countex South, the main Countex, is always going to be like the crown jewel, right? Like that is the place to go for. And as you said, you know, it can be really intimidating, but the idea is it's big, it's flashy, it's, you know, there was a castle in it this time. There was an opportunity to go fly a hot air balloon at the free agent stand, you know, right? There was all sorts of stuff going on. It is just purely like, it's a spectacle, isn't it? Right? It's, you know, it's the Las Vegas of the accounting industry as Accountex, right? It is just all big lights, big event and everything else. What I like about Accountex North is that it almost levels the playing field. Like there's not that, you know, you can't get a huge stand. You know, yes, you get slightly bigger maybe, but it isn't that much bigger. It is, and it, what that means is all the vendors then have their own, like they've got to talk to you one-to-one. They've got to have that. It's not about flashiness or, you know, big stands or, you know, celebrities being brought in like we've had in the past Accountex down south. But Accountex North is about, right, level playing field. What have you got to offer? What can you talk to us about? And that's my favorite bit about it. It is, you know, there's an opportunity to find the smaller vendors maybe that one big problem. So, you know, I'm looking for a ticketing solution now. I've got a better chance for me to, if there is one out there in Accountex Manchester North, to find one than I would do probably at London, because London, you really gravitated to the big stages and the big areas and everything else, aren't you? So, yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great to see you guys having your first event as well, see what's going to be there. I think the pit stop or the grid walk is going to be even more exciting than ever before, because we've got some, you know, we've got to show off the pit stop podcast and we've got to show off client engager stand. You know, we've got all the normal things that we get to do and explain and talk about. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. Do we know if there's a little cheeky after party as well? Is there going to be one? Do we know?
They normally do drinks in the foyer area. So, but they don't make a big thing of it because it is really a one-day thing where most people will be going home at the end of the day. So yeah, it's always a great event. So Natasha says in the comments that she'll be attending. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, it's going to be a fantastic event. We're looking forward to it, both as the accountant and at Engager. So
yeah, it's going
to be
got
all the
really
stands designed and everything else like that. It's just so much more complex than you realize. Like, you've got to bear in mind all your environmental concerns, like, you know, ethically, do we have swag? Do we have leaflets? Do we do this? Do we do that? And it's like, oh, well, is that the right thing for the environment? I mean, Ash was Googling leaflets made out of algae so they biodegrade quicker and all sorts of stuff. Like, because it's not as simple as just rocking up and having a stand these days. You have to show your core values. So yeah, it's a big thing to organize, but really excited to be there and to be doing it. So.
Caroline showed that more than anything, our thank you card for Ask the Accountant when we did the last event for them. It was a thank you card that was it was seeds in the thing, and the idea was you read the card and then you stuck it in the ground and it grew I don't know what it grew. I don't know plants. A plant.
Flower.
It was green.
Flowers would grow from it. So yeah, it's stuff like that you have to bear in mind, which is always fun. Now we're talking about,
and I think isn't this one as well? There's some good kind of speaking slots already set up as well. I think there's some, as always, there's some nice little opportunities there to.
I've not actually looked at who's speaking yet, but that Caroline creates such a great speakers list for this event. Because they don't need many speakers, she really has the pick of the crop. It's up to them who they choose. They don't ask for applications. People are approached, and it's a fantastic opportunity for speaking at a smaller but just as impressive audience. So yeah, it'll be a really good
and
event.
It's going to be our last time talking about it before the event, I think. I know we might have one more before, but do you think there'll be any announcements this time?
So you always hope for announcements at Accountex Manchester because everyone's come back off their summer breaks now. They're re-energized. They want some new features to get them through the winter. So yeah, fingers crossed, we'll see some announcements from software vendors about what's coming and what they're launching on the day.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I hope so.
You always hope for something like at these events, don't you, to make it worthwhile seeing firsthand what's going on.
Give us something to talk about as well.
Yeah, that's it. Like after the disappointment of XeroCon at Nashville, where they didn't seem to announce anything.
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah,
cool.
Have
we got a social media post of the week?
I haven't got a social media post for a week as such, but I have got some information for you that you might find interesting. So there is a podcaster, YouTuber gentleman called Jason Stats over in the US. Former accountant, gone into YouTube podcasting, advising, and stuff like that. He's been getting bigger and bigger. He started off doing a daily podcast or daily YouTube video, which was very interesting to see how long he could keep that up for, because that is a hell of a commitment. But he has partnered with a company called Spark, which is built by Rightworks. That's how they do things in America. They have a software name powered by or built by someone else. But yeah, so he's partnered with Rightworks, who've built a AI software called Spark. But the reason I'm bringing it up here today is they've launched two things over the weekend in partnership with Jason. And people might have seen Jason speak at the Digital Accountancy Show. He was there. So the first one is they've launched a Build Your AI Policy with help from our free guide. So it is a download from their website, and it seems to use AI to help you build your policy, which is quite cool. But their templates that they're giving you are very American, so they're not really appropriate for the UK. But I really like the idea that I can pretty much guarantee most people who are using AI haven't thought, oh, maybe I need an AI policy in my policy booklet of how I do things. But they show you how you can use ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, etc., to create an AI policy for your firm. So that's really useful. And top tip, if anyone's using AI, you should have an AI policy in your firm. If you don't, go and use AI to build yourself an AI policy. It will probably need you to get it looked at by your governing body or legal professional or something. But it's a starting point. It's better than nothing. It shows your awareness of the situation. But on top of that, they've also launched a product comparison, which is quite a nice little graphic, isn't it? So they've got ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, and then Spark, of course, because they've got their own product. And they go through pricing, limits of usage, image generation capabilities, document upload abilities, web search. Importantly, cutoff date for knowledge. So that's the point where after that date, the software doesn't, or the AI tool doesn't know about anything that's happened. So, for example, ChatGPT's cutoff date is October 23. Claude is August 23. Gemini is November 23. Copilot is December 23. So Copilot doesn't know what's happened since December last year, but it's all right because ChatGPT doesn't know anything since October last year. But they'll be rolling out updates in the next few months, I would imagine, to bring that up to date with the following 6 months. It also compares data usage, data ownership, and additional notes, which is really helpful. So I will put this into our comments for people to look at the... Oh, no, I can't. If I put it into the chat, can Aaron share it with the comments?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Cool. So we'll put that in the comments for everybody to have a look at. But yeah, just a really good tool just to give you a bit of a comparison of what tool does which and which one would work best for you and your firm, so you can start having a look. And go from there, really. And yeah, it's an interesting thought, using AI to write an AI policy. And it's something that I've not seen any governing bodies or anyone advise that, oh, if you're using AI, you should really have AI policies. But you really should. So it's definitely worth putting out there and having a play with ChatGPT or something to create an AI policy for you, just as a starting block, and then refine it and move on and build on it from there. Use it as the foundations, basically. But yeah, anything to add to that one, Aaron?
No, I was interested, to be honest. We've been just sat in the Copilot one because that's all we've used, because it just made sense, because it was an add-on to the solutions we were already using. But yeah, I feel like I made the wrong choice. Just looking through the comparatives there, it just, yeah, maybe we should.
I think I told you that ages ago.
Yeah. But you know, they're all kind of going to get better over time, aren't they?
Constantly evolving.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. There's a solution that I've got access to where I get to do Copilot on device. So I should be one of the first in the UK to grab that, especially with a 5G connection on it. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that does make it better in terms of not having to rely on having to connect to the internet and get cloud and come down. It's all on device. So we will see. Look out for a review on that one later. So hopefully Copilot's not going to be too far behind everyone else, but it does seem like a little bit behind. And if you looked at what the Gemini stuff that was announced this week for Google, that is looking very impressive as well. So yeah, it's all hotting up, isn't it?
Yeah. It's was it the Pixel event was quite an interesting event in itself, in that they spent. This was the Pixel event. This was the release of their newest lineup of phones, and they spent 2/3 of it talking about AI.
Yeah.
And then a sixth talking about the phones, and a sixth talking about earbuds and watches and stuff. And it's interesting that a traditionally hardware-driven event, where they spend most of the time talking about the hardware, and then these are the things you can do on the hardware, was actually focused on the AI and the software, and then these are the devices you can use it on.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's mainly because, and I think it's mainly because hardware's got to a bit of a plateau at the moment, hasn't it? Like, yeah, it may aesthetically look a little bit different. There may be a few, better camera or whatever they're going to throw at it, but realistically, it's very similar from one generation to the next or 1 year to the next. So, yeah.
It's the software we're really interested in, isn't it? Like, the only hardware I move, like the cameras do a good enough job now. I don't think there's much more we can do with the cameras, really, in a small device. It's really battery life. That's the only hardware improvement I want to see. Year on year is battery life, because that's the bit that always catches me out, is the battery life. Whereas everything else on top of that, as long as the phone's nice and easy to hold and use and stuff, then it's software related.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right, well, that brings us to the end of another show. A little less heated this week, a little less argumentative about AI and the right ways to execute it. If you've not seen that episode from last week and you want to hear Aaron and I go at it about AI and release and marketing strategies, then it's definitely a worthwhile episode to tune into. And that will be available on all your podcast channels, all of our YouTube channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere, basically.
Yep.
So make sure you tune in. And that is it for this week. Next week, Aaron, you're not here next week? You are off to Las Vegas, is it?
Off to Las Vegas for 2 weeks. So yeah, you'll be in the capable hands of Johann and a special guest for each week, isn't it?
Yep, I've got a special guest on, 2 guests, one each week. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, that's assuming we air. If we don't air, guys, it's because Aaron asked the accountant on the poker table and lost.
Yeah.
Basically. He's gambled with the podcast and it didn't go well. It'd be interesting to see what value they gave you for it.
How many chips?
Yeah. But yeah, so I will be here this time next week with you all and my first special guest to talk all things news and to talk a bit about them as well, which will be interesting.
Good.
And we will go from there. So yeah, Aaron, have a wonderful 2 weeks on your holiday. Try not to overindulge at the poker table. And I think, is it The Killers you're going to go out and see?
Twice. Yep.
Seeing them twice in 2 weeks, which is just ridiculous. I mean, that's technically because they're only doing 8 shows over there, aren't they, in their residency?
Yeah.
So, and you're going to go and see a quarter of those shows.
Got to be done. It's the anniversary of Hot Fuzz, which was their first album. So,
yeah, brilliant. Well, have a wonderful time over there, Aaron. Enjoy it, and we will see you when you come back in 3 weeks' time.
Cheers, everyone.
And everybody else, I'll see you all next week. Goodbye.
Cheers, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye.